The Central Florida Christian Chamber and Triangle Media welcome you to the Builders Podcast, spotlighting Christian business leaders and their stories of faith, leadership, and success. Here's your host, Suzanne Lynn.
Hi, and welcome to the Builders Podcast. I am Suzanne Lynn with Mark Goldstein, current president, and we're also joined by President-elect Krystal Parker. We have so much to talk about, but this is just kind of a little bit different. It's the Corona episode, right? For the Builders Podcast. And we're just talking about what the Christian Chamber is currently doing and some things coming up. And Mark, take it away. What's on your heart?
Well, what's interesting is that, we hear about making lemons or lemonade out of lemons. Right. And what I've seen over the last couple of weeks is so many blessings. I think it's Psalms 46, be still and know that I'm God. I think we've all had a chance to take a deep breath and be still. And I think he's showing us things that normally in our fast-paced world and in our regiments, we don't get to see. And I see more great coming out of this, not only now, but in the future.
Mm-hmm. There's new normals for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're asking Krystal to speak on because, Krystal's smart in so many areas, but when it comes to business and where things are going and how to best bloom where you're planted and what situation is given to you, man, she's the pro, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks. I wish I was. I'm joining from Kansas, which is definitely some social distancing. I think we want to kind of remove the thought about social distancing, though, and just think physical distance, because socially, I think we need to be together more now than ever. And I just appreciate opportunities like this to connect virtually and just be able to use these challenges right now to connect with one another in a different way. One of the things that I've studied is when businesses and the economy takes a downturn is what are some of the things that can come to the forefront to help businesses be successful. One of those things is don't turn away from innovation. Right now, being innovative is more important now than ever. So to Mark's point, you can make all kinds of things out of those lemons. And lemon pie would be one of my favorites, but definitely look for opportunity to make something new out of this situation. Sometimes when there's less, you have an opportunity to make more. I remember at one point in my career, I was told to close down 3 call centers and combine them into one. And from that, I was able to put together a 6-phase transformation project for customer service, saving the company over $1 million in operating expense and improving the customer service for our customers. And
that is an opportunity.
It absolutely is. And so some of the companies that are going to thrive through this are the ones that don't focus on the problems, but focus on the opportunity. Another piece of advice that I would have here is to just make sure that you bring diversity around the table when you're thinking about innovation so that you can do outside of the box thinking. And the last thing is, don't forget about ethics. When there's a pressure to perform in an organization, and never has there ever been a higher pressure than now, do not forget about the ethics in your business and really model that.
The great points, Krystal. And, one of the things that we've been doing with innovation is not being able to do fellowship Fridays, in-person things, not being able to do an actual relationship building lunch in April. What we've done is use Zoom, and every day we have a 1:00 Zoom call, and many chamber members get on. They share resources, they share challenges, and but it's really we almost have more community now. So, Krystal, to your point, don't do social distancing, and so that's what we've tried not to do, and it's working pretty well.
Well, just because we're shut down doesn't mean that information has to stop flowing. As a matter of fact, it's more important than ever that we utilize, digital content and opportunities to be able to keep that information coming and stay in touch.
Well, and one of the things we're going to talk about by the time this is aired, we will have already done this. But see, that's my radio background. Aired,
right? When it's aired, right?
But you're going to come on the 1:00 call, after we record this today, to talk about podcasts, video casts, staying in front of people when you can't physically be in front of them. So it is all technology.
It is. And Krystal put out a blog a couple of days ago, and people were like, this is great. We want to see video, because it was such a powerful blog that she was talking about. People want to see her face. They want to see the reaction, because so much of communication, Krystal, you can speak to this, so much of communication is about facial expressions and what they're doing.
A large portion of communication is nonverbal. And so much is lost in just an email or, instant message or DMs or whatever. And so being able to come to people through video and video message so they can see your face, just turn the camera on, and you don't have to be perfect. And I think that we live in an Instagram life, right, where everything has this perfect picture, perfect-esque appearance. And I would just encourage everyone that, I think the more real that you are, the more people can respond and can relate to you. So just flip the camera on. Don't worry about being picture perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mark, I think one of the things we wanted to talk about was the background of the transition and where the next several weeks lead.
Right, exactly. And for those who were at the lunch when was that?
Was that
February?
A couple weeks? Was that March?
March.
Well, Krystal spoke in February, and then it was announced in March.
Right. Yeah, I'm losing all track. You
It's
get
easy
65 years old, the gray matter just kind of goes
It's all of
away.
us. We're all a little crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately, Krystal wasn't able to be with us at the announcement because she was in Kansas with her dad. But about a year ago, let's go back even farther. And a lot of folks know in 2016, I really felt like my time had come to an end and I really needed to step down. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Thank you for clarifying.
You can't go too far from us. Right?
But, God showed me in a very clear way that it wasn't time. But he also let me know that when it was time, he'd let me know. And about a year ago, I had this 1-hour meeting with Krystal, and what was 1 hour turned into 2.5 hours. And I left that meeting, and as soon as I got home, the first thing I said to Ronnie was, I believe I've met my successor. Now, Krystal, when I shared that with you a few months later, you had another part of that story that blew me away.
Absolutely. So obviously before meeting with you, Mark, I called my mom, Moscow, Kansas, and I said, the president of the Central Florida Christian Chamber is going to meet with me. Like, who am I? Right. And I was just so impressed and thankful that you took the time to know my name and to sit down with me and to talk with me. And so after that, opportunity and sharing that with my mom and my daughter, I called them and told my daughter afterwards that you have the coolest job. Like, I just thought it was the neatest job in the world that you got to do, and just really be able to have a missionary type of mindset for businesses all over. And I just remember thinking it was the neatest opportunity that you had, and that you just did such a great job. And so that was kind of my dialect with my mom and my daughter after we met.
And again, I went home and I told Ronnie, here's a woman who is the first female executive in big oil in Texas. She's, she went to Harvard Business School for Executives. She has her own company, but she has a heart for ministry as big as Texas. And it was just the wow factor. So I shared that with Krystal, and she shared with me, and we said, well, let's see what God would do. And God has done, and we're in the process of transition. It will be finished by June 30th. And then I'm still going to be involved in the chamber. I'm going to serve at Krystal's pleasure, but I'm going to get out of her way and let her lead, because I know that she has this amazing vision for where the chamber is going to go. And that's one of the things, unfortunately, you weren't able to share at the lunch after the announcement was made. So perhaps you want to share that now.
Well, most definitely. I'm not prepared to share the vision, but I would love to share a little bit with you about my story and how God was moving my chess pieces and preparing me for this opportunity. And 2018 and 2019, there was a word that was just deposited in my spirit, and it's apokarodokia. And that was kind of like, some people pick a word for the year, or they pick something for the
Hope,
hope, Jesus,
margin,
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Mine was apokarodokia.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a Greek word, and it's used in the Bible. If you look at some of the beginning of readings, and there's some different sermons on it. But basically what it means is not looking back, straining towards what's ahead, and eager expectation. If for those of you that want a little bit more on it, you can go to Philippians 3:13 and 14 and kind of read that verse. But it is mentioned twice in the Bible. But that word just spoke to me because it was about straining. And I just kept thinking of like a giraffe, just pushing my neck out as far as I could to leave behind what was in the past and moving forward into the life that God was calling me, eagerly expecting, but not knowing what to expect. And meanwhile, while doing that, the more that I learned about God, and the more just I was hungry and am hungry and just want to know more, the more he was revealing to me about my calling and what he was calling me towards. And so I got involved in a couple of boards, non-for-profit. And, right now I fight for heartbeats of unborn children. That's a passion of mine. I also am passionate about spreading Jesus Christ worldwide through missions. And I'm also involved in my church and the worship arts ministry. Don't ask me to sing. I always say, yes, I can sing, but I'm more of a worshiper. And I just believe in worship and in the kids ministry too. But I just kept feeling called into more as I strained ahead. And there was a parable that just really stuck with me, and it was the parable of talents. And several people have probably heard that. It's in Matthew. But what that story is about is that there was a master, and he trusted the servants with talents. In the story, it's treasure or bags of gold, or people have, different translations of what that means. But one of the servants, he gave 5, 1 2, and 1 bag. The servant with the 5 invested it well and came back with 10. The other one with 2 came back with 2 more, which made 4. And then there was one that was given the 1 bag, and he buried it. And so as I heard that, I just felt like the Lord just calling me deeper into that. What did it mean to me? And so, of course, in my literal mind, I'm thinking, okay, I feel like I've got to create wealth. So I'm going to look for a business. I'm going to buy a business, and I'm going to just create this wealth. And I'm going to take my treasure that God's given me, and I'm going to recreate that and double it or triple it or whatever. And so that's where I was. I was on this journey of looking under the rocks, looking for businesses, doing my diligence, and every door was closing on me that this isn't the right thing for you. And so there were several lessons within that just kept just hearing over and over again. One of them was that the treasure was given, right, according to their ability. So I thought, what does that mean? And then also that the master, he left for a long time, meaning that our journey may take a while for it to be realized. The other thing was that the talents or the treasure that was given was not their own. It was borrowed. It was the master's. And then lastly, the ones that were able to turn and double that, they were said, well done, faithful servant. I gave you a little, I'll give you more. And so those things are all stirring with me. And I'm thinking to myself, that treasure isn't necessarily money. It is the experience. Mark talked about being the journey that I've had and being able to be an executive for oil and gas. I was the youngest executive announced ever in that company, a handful of women amongst many, many suits. And I feel so blessed and fortunate, but it wasn't because of what I did. It was experience that God was developing and putting into me so that I could invest it somehow, some way. And so as I started to think about the big picture of what this parable meant and why it meant so much to me, God revealed to me through Mark, asking me to consider this opportunity. And I thought, wow, this is such a great place to take these things that God's put in me that are unique in me. I'm not better than anybody. I'm just different. My experiences are different. And I think that speaks to every single person that's in the chamber that we come into contact with. We're not any better. We're just different. And so I'm able to take these things that God's given me, these experiences that are unique to me, and pour them into Christian businesses, which is, in my opinion, the ability to continue some of the ministry work. I have a heart for people. God's blessed me with a mind and instincts for business and a passion to serve him. And I can't think of a better mission to align myself with than the Christian Chamber and the businesses that are within the Christian Chamber. Recently I had to miss that lunch and share this story, but I really believe that it wasn't by an accident. I got to sit bedside with my father while he took his last breath on this earth. I can't tell you of a greater honor to be in the presence of someone that wants you there while they take their last breath. I got to sit front row and watch my dad be buried. And I thought about this parable as I'm watching the earth be moved to plant a human being. And I thought about the gifts, the talents. I thought about the person that buried it. And I thought to myself, and one of my dad's favorite songs, and the kids actually sang it at the funeral, was this little light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. And even when the light blows out on earth, what have we left behind? And I got to see that with my dad. He was a school teacher at the same school for multiple generations, 40 plus years, teacher, counselor. And the stories and the things that I got to hear about my dad, recognizing that, yes, while his earthly body is buried, his treasure was multiplied. And it's my job to do that. And I cannot believe that God's given me an opportunity like this to be able to give and pour into Christian businesses and work and fight for the kingdom at the same time. I feel so blessed.
I don't want to follow that. So you can pick up from there, because that was so well stated. I don't know how you follow up to that. So thank you.
You don't. You don't. But we're absolutely blessed to have Krystal as the next president of the chamber. As I tell folks, the chamber is in great hands, and it's going to grow way more than we ever thought it would under her leadership. So,
well, it's an especially fragile time for Krystal, because as we get through this coronavirus and everything, things look different. I mean, while you're going to be taking the reins, they're going to have new handles on them. It's going to look very different. And there's going to be a lot of businesses that are hurting like they've never hurt before. So I'm glad that we've got you and Mark as a team, through this time.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure Mark didn't leave me. I said, Mark, you can't leave me here now. I mean, what he's done is he's created this beautiful group of people that love the Lord and that are there because they want to help, inspire hope, and just support each other and cheer each other on. And it's a direct reflection of Mark as the leader over these years. I'm so thankful and honored. Like I told my mom and my sister, the president of the chamber, that's who you are. And that's what you've created, this legacy that you're letting me have an opportunity to move forward. So I'm honored.
Thank you, Krystal. And when something is your baby for so many years, you start looking and say, well, what am I going to do? Empty nest, but the reality is that my big question was, what would it look like after me? And God has answered that question, and I'm just thrilled. So.
Well, we have a lot more that we could talk about. I think I want to move into what's going to happen for April 9th and next month.
Well, again, embracing technology. We are going to do a virtual lunch. You can bring your own lunch to your own table or whatever. But we're going to do a virtual program, a virtual meeting, probably on April 9th. But the individual we're trying to get since you do something virtual, it doesn't have to be somebody local. So we are looking at 2 or 3 people that aren't local, but are phenomenal. And so we'll be willing to move to either the 8th or the 10th. But once we know that, we'll let folks know. We're not going to charge anything for it. It's going. Kevin McCarthy has this monster Zoom webinar platform. We can get hundreds of people on there. And so we're looking at doing that. But then May, we should be back at First Baptist. And we have an amazing speaker with an amazing topic.
Can you reveal that yet?
Absolutely. We've already did John Morgan.
Okay.
John C. Morgan, the Bush impersonator. He isn't going to do Bush. He isn't going to do Trump. He's going to do John Morgan. And John, about a year or so ago, wrote a book called War on Fear. And I've read the book twice. And trust me, it's a timely topic. You're going to want to be there. And he's going to bless a lot of folks.
Well, I guess we should probably bring this to an end. Krystal, did you want to end with anything?
I just am excited about what's to come. And I can't wait to be there just learning from the speakers and the leaders that you're bringing to the table. I'll be there.
Thank you. Mark, I'll let you take us out. First of all, how can people contact you?
cfchristianchamber.com.
Okay.
And most everything you'd want to know about the chamber is on the website. Contact me, and very soon there's going to be a different contact number up there, and it's going to be all great.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Let's go out on a chicken wing here. There we go. All right. Take care.
This has been the Builders Podcast, presented by the Central Florida Christian Chamber and produced by Triangle Media. If you're interested in having a program like this for your business, contact Suzanne Lynn at trianglemedia.biz. Do you have valuable information to share? Are you looking to build a relationship between your brand and your target audience? Are you able and willing to talk about your products, services, and/or industry on a regular basis? If you answered yes to these questions, then you or your organization needs a podcast. Podcasts are the new talk radio. 144 million Americans listen to podcasts, including 90 million on a monthly basis. Podcasts are in demand because consumers want information on demand, on the go, and in a personal, relatable way. At Triangle Media, we take care of every step of your organization's podcast. From idea creation to recording and editing through distribution, it couldn't be easier for you. We even offer white label podcasting services for agencies who want to offer podcasting to their clients. Contact Suzanne Lynn at trianglemedia.biz to learn more and ask about video podcasting too.